Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and where we support each other in our spiritual search for truth and meaning. We are so grateful to be able to live stream this morning's service to all of you at home. My name is Kate Wallace Rogers, and I will be your worship host today. It's great to be with you. Our guest preacher this morning is Ngina Lythcott. We're welcoming her, although she's lived in Provincetown with her partner Billy for over 20 years, year-round for the last 15. She's a member of the school committee and the scholarship trust committee, and is a member of our racial justice committee here at the UU. She's also served as a dean of students at Dartmouth, Swarthmore, Columbia, and BU. Welcome and thank you, Ngina. Welcome. Before we begin our service, I have a few announcements to share. We hope you all made it through the storm okay last week. The scheduled service about breath will be shared later in February. A reminder that our UUMH Board of Directors meets next week after the service, and we will be discussing the COVID numbers and our reopening timeline. We will send out more information following that meeting. Let's take a moment now to affirm our Meetinghouse covenant. I will say a line and then you repeat it back to me. Love is the spirit of this Meetinghouse.
Love is the spirit of this Meetinghouse.
This is our great covenant.
This is our great covenant.
To dwell together in peace.
To dwell together in peace.
To seek the truth in love.
To seek the truth in love.
And to help one another.
And to help one another.
Thank you. Now it is time to light our chalice. As we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle wherever you are. In this way, we can feel connected, even while we're apart. These words are from Mary Oliver. What I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts. I want to believe I am looking into the great white fire of mystery. I want to believe that the imperfections are nothing, and that the light is everything, that it is more than the sum of each flawed blossom, rising and fading, and I do.
The prayer I'm going to read is adapted from the book, An Altar of Words by Billy Avery. Regarding the relationship between people and the universe, it is clear that we are all conduits for the sharing of knowledge, power, and energy. Agency is the power within us to change ourselves and the world around us. Each of us has agency. We extend the work of agency by becoming a conduit for a course of action. The affirmation of presence helps each of us hear our inner answers to our questions, see the path to solutions, and visualize ourselves in a different, if not better, place. Talking, listening, seeing, and feeling create the conduit for change and growth. Ashe.
Our reading today is from Amanda Gorman's book, Call Us What We Carry. Augury, or the birds. In ancient Rome, augurs were official diviners, their darting eyes interpreting omens and the inked stain of birds across the sky. Their job was not to prophesy the future, but to determine if their new named gods approved of an action before it began. The only way to correctly predict the future is to pave it, is to brave it. The breakage is where we begin. The rupture is for remembering. That is to say, here is where we hold our hurt. We inaugurate our dreams at the injury. We consecrate the cut under a suture of sun. We sense ourselves stir, slowly, sweetly, as if for the first time this nearly tore us apart. Yes, indeed, it tears us to start. Now is the time in our service where we take a collection for the ongoing support of this meeting house and our shared ministry. As we enjoy a musical reflection, we welcome your donations through PayPal or Venmo. You can find that information on our website, UUMH.org. Whether you give online or through other ways, we are very grateful for your support.
Keep on
Last Sunday morning, I was lying in bed with my eyes closed, trying to figure out how we two old ladies, 76 and 84, were going to recover from last Saturday's snowstorm. How are we going to shovel out our car and driveway and the path to our front door, especially since the high winds hurled a huge snowdrift in front of it? It seemed overwhelming to figure out. Then, before I could open my eyes, I heard the joking and laughing of our next-door neighbors, Tom and Larry, shoveling out their driveway. But that warm laughter was way too loud. I got up, looked out the window, and saw that they were shoveling our yard. From the porch to the driveway, even the path to our year-round tenant's doorway. I was suddenly filled with enormous heart warmth. It felt like a gift from higher spirit, and that Larry and Tom were the generous agents of that love. That was my last Sunday's miracle. As you have heard, my name is Ngina. Let me share a bit of my history, or my story. Genetically, I'm 47% West African, my father, and Cape Verdean, my mother. Yet more than half of me is neither. Genetically, I am mostly the product of white slave masters, whose ancestry, Irish, Welsh, and Scottish, raping my enslaved female ancestors. I have been active and many times picked up by the police in the civil rights movement since I was 12. Except for 4th and 5th grades, my family has integrated each of 3 communities to which we moved. And within the walls of those previously segregated communities and schools, I've been spat upon, pinched, felt on, and called the N-word by classmates and police. I integrated nearly every school I attended until the 11th and 12th grades, when finally my family moved to Ghana, West Africa. So I am among those American citizens whose ancestors were taken from Africa, enslaved, and now are living in the great African diaspora. I am a Pan-Africanist. Although I was born in Boston, Africa is my mother. I have lived and worked in Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania, and South Africa, as well as 8 states in the United States. The spiritual roots that have supported my life's journey were Roman Catholic throughout childhood, then Episcopalian. And while I consider myself a Christian, I don't belong to a church, but say my prayers and practice some parts of the Yoruba religion. It's from southwest Nigeria. Because it supports my clarity that I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors, who daily made sacrifices so that I might have opportunities that bring me to you today. In my family, I'm responsible for keeping the altar for our female ancestors. This morning, I want to talk to you about how we too can deliver God's love in the context of anti-racism work. We are lucky to live in Provincetown, where most of us are political moderates or progressives. We try hard to take care of our children, the hungry, the sick, the elderly, the addicted, the battered, and the broken. When I am with my family and friends, I brag that I don't mind living in what they call Taxachusetts, because for the most part, I like where my taxes are spent. This very community, this UU Church, has done some of our town's most important racial justice work, thanks to Pastor Brenda's leadership. Many of us consider ourselves woke to the needs of folks who are otherized. We are not only well-versed in the jargon of equity and diversity, the bravest of us also meet monthly in front of Town Hall to demonstrate our concerns. We have done the work. But I am here to say to you, yes, our racial justice work is an essential part of doing God's work. There is more work to be done. Now it's time to move beyond curiosity, belief, knowledge, and begin doing the work of anti-racist community building by deeply engaging with others. Some of us are ready to become more active in doing God's work. As a social scientist, I can tell you that race is a social construct. It does not exist in the scientific reality. The adoption of race and all of its tributaries was constructed by people in power to reinforce that power and to keep us apart, with people who look like me pushed to the bottom. It has been proven scientifically by Dr. Mary Claire King that we are all one people, and that every single human being ever born on this planet was born of a single African woman. Over time, as we Africans, all of us, began to explore other parts of the planet, our skin color, facial features, limbs, and hair textures changed in order to accommodate the very different physical environments where we settled. We are all the same under the skin. It is racism, or a kind of colorism, that is destroying what God created as the human species. That racism is reinforced in subtle and not so subtle ways in the lives of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, or BIPOC people. To live BIPOC is to be the recipient of racist behavior, whether direct discrimination or by the fact of structural racism now baked into our global culture, is to be battered every day and too often results in broken lives and rage. Racism is a problem that must be addressed before it's too late. Did you know that BIPOC people are the global majority? We make up nearly 80% of this planet's population. And we are also becoming the majority population in the United States. California boasts that now more than half the children in their elementary and middle schools are children of color. As the demographics of this country shift to BIPOC people becoming the majority, anti-racism work becomes more crucial. It means having the knowledge, courage, and know-how to begin and continue conversations with our friends, relatives, and colleagues about how they can unravel our and their roles in supporting structural racism and instead work with us to knock down those structures. I believe that it is our growing majority that is creating fear among some who are now in power. We can see the results of that fear when we look at the growth of armed militias, the January 6th insurrection at the White House, or the many other violent and hateful things that happen to those of us who are otherized all over the world. In the United States, it has taken us nearly 500 years post-slavery only to be where we are now. My message to you is that as intelligent and reflective people, in spite of the horrendous traumas of slavery and the Holocaust, it shouldn't take 500 years for us to heal as a country or as a species. What it does take is for right-minded people to do right. That must be from my grandmother, Corinne. This anti-racism work happens in small groups of people in safe spaces, spending regular time, often months, in curious and open conversation with each other, learning and growing together. And when group members have the knowledge, courage, and know-how, they are able to start their own anti-racism meeting groups. And as we do our work and grow our groups, we create an anti-racist movement. Because of historical racism in this country, this anti-racism work is best done by and with people who look alike. Many people can better hear the message from and do their work with people who look like them. This means that anti-racism work in the white community is better done by white people, and anti-racism / healing from oppression work in the BIPOC community is best done by BIPOC people. So today, I exhort you to help put God's love in action in the context of anti-racism work. Let us begin to create small, safe spaces where we can meet together to tell our stories and learn about the subtle ways in which we participate in structural racism. As we become confident and courageous, let us work together to learn how to take this knowledge and support outside the safe small group and create safe space for others who we know and care about, so they too can better understand themselves and structural racism. And they are prepared to start their own safe space groups in order to nurture, strengthen, and extend anti-racism work. This is the work that God expects of us. When she's not shaking her head and saying to herself, "But I gave them the biggest brains." We have important work to do to heal the human species, so that as a human family we can take care of each other and our planet. Let us move from the sure and sometimes smug knowing that we as individuals are anti-racist and really put God's love into action. Ashe, ashe, ashe. May it be so. Amen. It has become our practice to pose a question based upon the theme of the service each week. It can be a topic of dinner conversation tonight or a question to pose to friends during the week. And if you'd like to delve deeper into this question, you can join us on Zoom on Tuesday at 5. Here's the question. What can I do to engage in anti-racist community building and more actively manifest God's love? Let me repeat that. What can I do to engage in anti-racist behavior, to engage in anti-racist community building work, and more actively manifest God's love? Thank you for joining us this morning. Blessed be.